Hello and welcome. This is Stephanie Anderson with StephanieLAnderson.com. And today, as always, I'm glad to introduce to you, he needs no introduction, but my partner and mentor, Mr. Rodney Barnett, who is a world-renowned trichologist and educator. Good morning, Rodney.
Hello, Stephanie, and to all of those that will be viewing this video.
Yes. So we're going to jump back in because the new year, beginning this new decade, is starting soon. And we're always thinking of new ways to challenge ourselves to be able to help the professional in this industry. We've come up with video series, how to overcome obstacles in the hair loss industry. So we're going to come with different videos that we think are going to answer a lot of the questions that we receive on a one-on-one. So we're going to be able to do it in a different format and hopefully help quite a few people. So today's video topic is going to be one of my favorites. And we've had a lot of good ones, but this is a really good one. If it's a good idea, why don't I believe it? Have you ever heard something, but you don't jump in it when you know you should? Well, that's what we're going to talk today and how it applies to this industry. So Rodney, kind of share with us some information about this great topic today.
Stephanie, if you ever go and you talk to successful people, okay, one thing that I always find as a common denominator is they weren't born successful, okay? They took an idea that they believed in, and then they built on that particular idea. Now, some of them primarily did it by just maybe following the idea to its max because it was a franchise. So only thing they had to do was follow a formula that was already created for them. But then there were other people who took ideas and added their own ideas in order to become successful. But it all started, Stephanie, with an idea in which they believed in, and an idea in which they already saw themselves successfully operating. And all successful people will tell you it began with an idea. But the most important thing, Stephanie, it was an idea in which they believed in. And so in what it is that you and I do, we're always conscientious about the fact that we know we have a great idea. Why? Because it's an idea that can, one, help the student be able to generate a certain amount of money. Two, it's an idea that doesn't require that the student has to go back to school for 12 years in order to get the knowledge that they need in order to emphasize the idea. And three, in many cases, it doesn't mean that they have to work any harder than what they're already working within. So with that being said, Stephanie, what's the missing link then? What's the missing link? If they can generate more money, think about it, they can generate more money, okay? They don't have to work any harder than they already are working with. And it's exciting. It's exciting in what it is that they're doing. What's missing? Great idea, but what's missing?
The follow through.
And the fact that they have to do what? They have to believe it.
They have to believe it.
That it can work.
And many times I think as educators, we see this every opportunity that we have to share our platform and our training with those individuals that they decide to come and sit in on the classes, right?
Right.
Most of them come and they sit down for the presentation, and I scan the room a lot of times. So I'm looking, so a lot of times I'm getting nods, I'm getting smiles of affirmations, and I can see and I can feel that I am being able to relay what I'm sharing with the attendee. However, it comes to the end of the presentation, it's kind of almost like at the end of a sermon when the altar call is made.
Right. Right.
That when you make the invitation, now for some, they've come knowing that they want to be converted, that they know. So the others that when you make the invitation and they don't follow up, it makes you wonder if you liked it? Did you really believe if you did not sign up, if you did not commit? So that is what we are really trying to um, formulate in this video to understand. If you're really understanding the concept, if you really know that it's something you should be doing, are you really believing the information that's being shared with you? And if so, what keeps you from actually doing what you know you need to do?
So what we could really say then, Stephanie, if you really believe, then you would respond,
Yes,
right? That's
yes,
what we're really saying, because we could sit there and question ourselves to death, and we can say, wow, what was missing? Okay, what was missing? We know we did a great presentation. We believe it ourselves, or we wouldn't be there,
yes,
right? So we believe it ourselves. We're living examples of it every day
yes.
because the concept in which we're getting across. Now, you and I don't just sit up on the 21st floor and just think of ideas that we think that people who are in the presentation are interested in. No, we're living examples of what it is that we're presenting, to the student. We're actually have put before them a business opportunity that's realistic, okay? That's so universal and so different than what it is that they already are doing, okay, in their own practice, that at the end of the presentation, man, we should see people knocking each other over, trying to be the first one in line in order to be able to put the idea into operation. And I think what's really missing, Stephanie, is they don't see themselves in what it is that we're presenting to them. So therefore, if they don't see themselves, as successful as we're saying that they can be, then they walk out of the class not really believing it. Good idea, okay? They'll tell us even on the outside of the class, oh, I think it was a great idea. But a great idea for who? They don't have to remind, they're preaching to the choir. They're trying to tell us it's a great idea, right?
So true, yeah.
Preaching to the choir, right? But why don't they think that it's a great idea? Because if they thought it was a great idea, Stephanie, they would be responding by taking advantage of the opportunity in which we presented to them in the presentation.
And you know what? You may have a very, I think you make sense when it comes to that, but I wonder who do they think is a perfect idea for? Because if they come to the presentation, there had to be some interest piqued. And I'm just a little girl from Oklahoma, that was able to see a need, was able to partake of training. I live it every day. I'm not someone who works for a big corporation that goes around the country and gets a paycheck from doing that. I am someone who makes her living being able to do what I'm sharing with others and to be able to do it professionally. Because they're seeing it done on a certain level, not particularly what I do when it comes to my specialty on YouTube and the cosmetic point, but to know that there are actual people that are doing it every day and changing people's lives, and you working in your center and became an educator because you had the conviction and wanting to share this opportunity. Because the truth of the matter is, Rodney, unless they come up with something that is going to cure hair loss, we're going to need some people who are qualified and know how to apply the specialized knowledge that we're trying to share. So if it's not for them, then who do they think it is from? You don't have to be from a big metropolitan area, but you just have to have that conviction to know that you're being shared this information and you can do it.
And I'm glad that you ended with that last statement, that if they don't think it's for them, who is it for? Because obviously they had to be convinced to go into the cosmetology field,
Yeah.
right? Certainly they weren't needed in that particular field, right? I mean, is somebody not going to go and get a haircut because they're not being able to provide the haircut for them? Does that mean that somebody is not going to get color because they're not going to be available in order to get color for them? No. They chose this particular field. Now, they may have did it for various reasons. Maybe artistically, they felt like, quote unquote, I can add my artistic, ability. It could be that they have a great imagination so they can imagine different type of hairstyles that they could create, primarily for their clients. Or maybe they went to a technical school and they were taught the ABCs on how to be able to do it. But in any scenario, they still pictured themselves being able to artistically do it. The hardest part about this, Stephanie, is the economic part of it. It's hard for them to picture themselves with the idea of economically benefiting. And that's what I mean when I say they don't see themselves doing it, because they can see themselves still standing behind the chair and servicing the client. But when we say $500,000, they don't economically see that within themselves of being able to generate that kind of money. Because stop and think about it, Stephanie, it's a big step to go from making $70,000 every year to now all of a sudden we're talking about adding $100,000 every year until the fifth year when you make $500,000. What's the first thing that normally comes to somebody's mind? First thing comes to their mind is, I've got to change what it is that I'm doing. But let me put it to you this way, Stephanie. If they were working for the city or the state on a $75,000 a year job, okay, and then a position came open for them to make $150,000, okay, do you think that they would procrastinate by saying, I don't know, I really love it on the $75,000 job. I love the people that I work around, and I love the position that I have? Or would you think that they would say, wait a minute, double the amount of income that I'm already making? I'm still only going to be working 8 hours. True, is going to be different responsibilities. What do you think they're going to focus more on? Staying on that $75,000 a year job, or thinking it's a good idea, okay, to take advantage of the job that's paying, or the position, I should say, that now is going to pay them $150,000?
I think they'd be trying to figure out who to send their resume to for that $150,000 job.
That's all we're saying, and what it is that you and I do. That's the same opportunity that we're presenting to them. Is you can leave your $75,000 sole proprietor, position that you've been doing for the last decade, 2 decades, 3 decades, or maybe just now coming into the industry, to look at an opportunity that's before them that can generate 5 times the amount of money. A great idea, right?
Yeah.
But do they believe it?
And we'll say this, that we know that there has to be tangible reason for people to do what they do. And what we offer, we know that there is a need of financial, because I'm hearing so many stylists that are securing part-time jobs, so outside of the salon. So we know there's a financial need. Why not just make sure that you can do all? I believe in, securing it all in one area. So we know that there's a financial need. So the opportunity is available within this industry if they truly want it. It may not be something they can do next year, to get that type of money, but it can be done with continued effort.
And Stephanie, I'd like to end with this challenge, that when the students who are viewing this comes to your presentation and comes to my presentation, and they listen to the business opportunity as an idea moving forward in 2020, the challenge is, if they really believe everything that you and I present to them, then we want them to respond and make 2020 the beginning of the best year that they've ever endeavored financially.
All right, you heard it there, and you got the challenge. So we hope that you'll take us up on it. Now, this is Stephanie Anderson with Mr. Rodney Barnett, and this is our video series, Overcoming the Obstacles in the Hair Loss Industry. Until our next installation, take care and be blessed. Bye.